Hey team, how are you? Master Schiele here. Today we're going to be talking about Point Sparring 101. We're going to be doing a crash course on everything you need to know about point sparring. Please, if you've not yet, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, all that great stuff. It's going to keep me sending this information to you. Let's get started. So point sparring is a system of trying to score a point on your opponent before they can score a point on you. You're working on speed, you're working on agility, you're working on just overall martial arts, right? So it's a great way as us martial artists to not only train the techniques that we've learned, but actually to have something to compete in as well. To help me out today, I actually have Tito, and he's gonna be my demonstrator so I can show different techniques on him, all right? So let's get into it. So when it comes to point sparring, there's different points of the body I'm allowed to hit. Let's cover that first, okay? I'm allowed to hit the chest, I'm allowed to hit the stomach, I'm allowed to hit the floating ribs right here, I'm allowed to hit the sides of the head, all right? So these are all points that I'm allowed to hit, okay? And if I hit those points, I will actually get a point, all right? Now, what happens is there's certain points I'm not allowed to hit, all right? So I'm not allowed to hit anything below the waist, all right? No kick to the knee, no sweep the leg, no kick to the groin, none of that stuff, right? I can't hit anything to the back whatsoever, all right? And these are really the points that I'm not allowed to hit. Now, what happens is when we come to scoring, there's different tournaments, and every tournament kind of has their own rules. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cover overall basics of everything, just in case you go to a national tournament, and then I'm going to cover what we actually do exclusively in our school, so you know as our students what you can do, okay? So in tournaments, I'm allowed to punch to the head, all right? So I'm allowed to, and this isn't us, I'll talk about that in a second, all right? So I'm allowed to punch to the head, I'm allowed to punch the body, I have my side kick to the body, I can kick to the head, right? Kick to the head, kick to the head. What happens is these are all points that I can do. Again, nothing below the waist, we don't want that, right? So what we did is in our tournament, we actually took away the punching to the head. And the reason for that is, if you think about it, it's a lot harder to kick to the head than it is to punch to the head, right? So what happened is by actually taking the punch away from our students and we made an illegal technique, what happened was we actually saw our students just improve as martial artists because they were forced to train their kicks, right? So what happens is we actually do not allow punching to the head. Now, scoring happens different, right? Sometimes in the tournament, it might be just continuous sparring. The way we do sparring is whenever a point is scored, the judge will say, stop. The judges score, they'll call whatever side they saw, and then that person will get the appropriate amount of points. Now, in our tournaments, what we do, and again, different tournaments have different things, but you have 1 point for punching the body, 1 point for kicking to the body, all right? 1 point for kicking to the ribs. You can punch to the ribs, but sometimes that arm's there. I don't usually recommend that one. That's not a great place to get a point, right? What we do, this is what you're really gonna like. If you can kick to the head, boom, 2 points right there, all right? So kicking the head, if you have that flexibility, that's a great way to really score points, all right? So that's how we do that. A couple things I want to do also is I want to cover how to block, all right? So again, we're just doing a crash course today just to kind of get you up to speed. So blocking, different martial arts have different ways of holding. What we like to do is we like to have that front arm down, back hand up, okay? Shoulder ready, all right? That's our blocking position. So this is the way we like to hold our position. If there's a kick to one side of the head, I can block this way, I can block this way, I can block this way, right? So there's different ways that I can block, just depending on what side you're getting hit on. And maybe we'll kind of dive in a little bit deeper on a separate video on the proper way of blocking right there, all right? Now, what happens is scoring the points, it all comes down to winning, right? You are trying to beat your opponent. You're trying to be faster than them. So I want you to realize something. If you have a 1 point advantage over them, you win, right? So what happens is if you have that 1 point, you go for that 2.5 minutes, you go for that 3-minute round, and you have 1 point, you have 5 points, they have 4, you have that 1 point lead, you're gonna win, right? So just having that 1 point and a good defense is really, really, really important. Now, on the flip side of that, we have a special thing where we call it a 5-point spread, right? If at any time in the match, you have a 5-point spread, which means if you have 5 more points than they have, so if I have 6 and they have 1, we stop the match, even if it's only 30 seconds in the match, and we claim that person as the winner. The idea of that is you can score actually faster, this way it doesn't get ridiculous with the points, right? So if you really take advantage of your partner and you have that 5-point spread at any moment, you can win, right? So here's what I always like to say. If you did 2 kicks to the head and you did 1 punch to the body, in 20 seconds, you actually won your match, right? So I want you to think about that, right? So that flexibility, just your sparring technique is really important, and you always got to kind of go in there with an idea. But here's the thing with sparring. You don't know what's going to happen. That's the beauty with it, right? When you face an opponent, you don't know what they're going to do. So you really, as a great martial artist, have to be able to adapt, right? If they're a kicker, you got to be able to adapt to it. If they're a puncher, you have to be able to adapt to it. So these are all really, really important things, what happens. Now, at the end of the day, what happens is when you're sparring, it's really important, and especially in the martial art world, and this is why I love this world so much, it's all about sportsmanship, caring about the person next to you, right? So after match, you are fighting, you're sparring, you're trying to win, you're giving it all you have, but you always, at the end of it, give your partner a respect bow, give them a hug, congratulate them. Doesn't matter whether you win or lose, that's the game, right? And that's really what we always want to see at the end of the day. Remember, team, when you're competing, it's always about the constant improvement for you. If you're going in there and you win, winning feels great. Winning is awesome. I love that feeling, but you know what? What's better sometimes is actually losing and learning something from it, right? That's where experience comes from. The more you lose, the more experience you actually get, and you can learn how to properly win, right? So never forget, whether you win or whether you lose, it's always just about the experience right there. I hope this video was helpful for you. Please, do hit that like button again if you haven't yet, and I will see you in our next video. Take care, guys.